Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of the Saturdays in Stores podcast, which you can find right here on the Court Store Media Network. I'm your host, Kanaye Tesoro. Man, what a game, what a comeback, and what a shot that Jimmy Chitwood hit last night, aka Braylon Mullins, to send the Huskies to his home of the Hoosier State to play in their third Final Four in the last 4 seasons. Really just, I think, is at this point the undisputable game of the year. I'm still at this very moment in utter disbelief. I'm in complete shock as to the events which transpired down the stretch of this Elite Eight game in DC against the Duke Blue Devils for UConn to be able to come away with what is just one of the all-time wins for this Huskies program. And obviously there is a lot that I'm going to be hitting on in today's episode. But before we do that, just a couple quick messages. First, us here at the Core Store, and we partner with Phorm Energy to tell you about all the great products they have to offer. Whether you're someone who's an active gym goer, someone who just wants to stay energized, Phorm has the products that you need to be able to allow yourself to keep doing what you normally do. And if you're interested in seeing more of the products they have to offer, I'll be plugging their link to their full website in our description box below. Additionally, we all know how important the algorithm is on YouTube, so keep engaging with the content on this channel in any way you can. Like and subscribe and telling other people about us really goes a long way with getting more people to see what we put out. Also, be sure to turn on your post notifications so you're the first to see our latest content. So let's get right into it and start with just the overall game itself. UConn won 73-72 in the Washington, D.C. region to win the East region, I should say, in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four in Indianapolis this year. And if we're calling it what it was, UConn did not look good in the first half. Am and Caden BUZZER combined for 27 points in the first half, which is nearly as much as UConn's entire points total in the first half, which was 29 points. And really, the only guy who could get it going early on was Tarris Reed. Tarris Reed kept UConn in this game in the first half, and he is a major reason why UConn was able to go on that comeback effort in the second half. And he finished the game with 26 points, 10 for 16 overall. Made some big free throws throughout the game, 6 for 9 from the line overall, which he's continued his improved free throw shooting in the tournament as opposed to what it was in the regular season. 9 boards, 3 massive assists. I think a lot of people are just going to gloss over and not really consider as to what made Tarris just so good in this game. I mean, he had the one to solo ball off the spin where Solo was able to convert on a layup. He had the pass out of Silas Demery in the second half in the corner for Silas to knock down his first 3 of the game. I'll touch more on Silas coming up. And he had the pass to, I believe it was Caravan for one of his other assists, one of his other 3 assists of the game. And just Tarris made himself so much money in this game last night. I mean, I understand there's going to be a big adjustment for Tarris going up to the NBA level, but I think it's more evident than ever. There is a role for him in the NBA. We've seen the return of bigger, more traditional big men having larger roles on teams. I mean, Zach Edey is a perfect example. When he's been healthy, he's been very productive in Memphis. Obviously, Tarris Reed is not as tall as Zach Edey, but we've seen other guys. Andre Drummond, he's still stuck around in the league. I mean, there's going to be roles for guys like Tarris. And obviously, I mean, Sanogo has struggled to really find consistency on an NBA roster. But I really do believe, Tarris, he probably made himself a good chunk of change last night because, I mean, you're talking a big difference between a completely non-guaranteed contract on a 2-way deal to a partially guaranteed 2-way deal that he's probably going to end up getting as a maybe mid-second round pick now. But I mean, outside of that, I think the job he did defending Cam BUZZER down the stretch with 3 fouls in the game where, I mean, just if he picked up his 4th foul, UConn was going to be in such a tough spot. Early on, they asked Caravan to take BUZZER one-on-one. It obviously took a massive toll on AK. AK was not able to really hit many shots throughout this game. I'm going to touch more on AK as we get later on in this video. But obviously, Dan Hurley, the coaching staff, they turned to Tarris to be the guy to defend Cam BUZZER down the stretch, and he forced massive turnovers. One obviously led to the solo ball, and one to cut it to a 3-point game, led to a Caravan layup, which was one of his only 2 baskets of the night. And just him being able to protect the rim, wall up, not foul, and force Cam BUZZER to alter the trajectory of his shots, to be able to get blocks of Cam BUZZER, again, without fouling, just to handle the physicality of Cam. It was incredible what we saw from Tarris last night. And he, of course, deservingly received the most outstanding player for the East region of this year's NCAA tournament. And again, when Tarris is at his ceiling, he's a top 3 center in the sport. Shoot, I mean, with how he's played this NCAA tournament, he might be the best center in the sport. And we hope he keeps it up. He's the development of his post game is continuing to impress me. I talked about last week where I swear I saw Terrace trying things that we have never seen him do, even this season. And just for him to have the confidence to try some of these new things out in the biggest games of his college career, it's gutsy. And the fact that he's been able to convert on so many of these opportunities is incredible. The footwork has just been immaculate from Terrace. It's becoming very Sonogo-esque, and I don't say that lightly. We all know how disciplined Sonogo was, how crafty he was, how fundamentally sound he was, and the footwork he had down low. You knew you threw the ball into Sonogo, you were either getting 2 points or he's taking a trip to the line. And this year in the tournament, first read outside of the UCLA game where he was in foul trouble, he's been dominant. I mean, really, no one has had an answer for Terrace Reed yet in this NCAA tournament, and we obviously hope that continues because coming up on Saturday against Illinois, what is a rematch of an earlier game this year on Black Friday against the Huskies and Illini. Terrace, was hurt, but he's going to be going up against some big guys on Illinois between the Visage brothers, Merkovich. It's going to be a tough ask, but obviously we've seen Terrace can step up to the challenge. He could step up to the plate and he could get the job done. And I mean, Terrace has been most definitely the most outstanding player for UConn this tournament run so far. Now, I want to touch on Malachi Smith because I think that so far throughout this entire NCAA tournament, he's been the unsung hero for UConn, and I don't think he's gotten nearly enough credit for what he's been doing, just the impact he's had off the bench since Silas has made his return, what he did in 2 starts between the games against Phorm and UCLA. I just don't think that Malachi's gotten the credit he deserves. Malachi, early on, when no one else could get it going outside of Terrace, just makes a massive three in the first half where finally UConn just feels like, okay, we saw one go down. We're not out of this completely yet. And just what he did defensively, just ball pressuring on Caden, forcing turnovers down the stretch of the game, took some tough takes to the basket and was able to convert on a couple. He finished with 9 points, only 2 assists, but I still feel that what he did was so impactful. Just the juice he provided, how he was able to operate in the pick and roll with Terrace down the stretch when Silas honestly really struggled at points of this game. It was just so impressive, and I don't know that you could ask for a better backup point guard across the country right now than how we've seen Malachi play. Obviously, he had some massive moments in the non-conference schedule this year. And once the Huskies got into Big East play, I just think that Malachi lost confidence. I think the level of physicality in Big East play definitely is something that deterred him. And now that we've gotten back to playing out-of-conference opponents, Malachi seems to be in a role where he is thriving once again. He's playing with confidence. He's seen some more shots go down. I don't think you can speak enough to how much Malachi has meant for this team on this NCAA tournament run in what is now a Final Four trip for the third time in 4 seasons for the Huskies under Dan Hurley. Now, let's get into some other guys here. I'll start with Silas Demery. Silas Demery did not have a good first half, and it's very, very clear he's still a step or two slow. He's still battling back from the injury he suffered in the Big East championship game against St. John's, and he struggled, I think, at times on the defensive end of the floor. And we hope that, this next week that UConn's going to have to rest before they have to head out to Indianapolis to take on Illinois on Saturday night. He's going to hopefully be able to kind of get that ankle, the leg, whatever exactly it is he's dealing with, to as close to 100% as possible. Dan Hurley said that it's not a 5-week injury that some people assumed it was. Had it been in the regular season or in the preseason, how long we would have seen Silas sit. But he did say that it is an injury that a lot of people would have sat out with, and Silas is, of course, gutted it out and played in the last couple games now. Obviously, I think Silas got some good looks in the first half, but just wasn't able to knock it down. I mean, Silas has been close to, I think, a 45% shooter from beyond the arc this year, and even more so in Big East play, I think close to the 50% line. And obviously, the law of averages, eventually they're going to fall. And he got 2 great looks from respective corners in the second half, was able to knock both of them down. The second one cutting the lead 2-7. And really, I think for him to miss that free throw, the front end of the free throws, which, had he made both, would have cut the game to a 1-point game. He missed the front end, made the second, and just for him to still have the alertness, the activeness, the confidence to go out and just make a play when UConn needed anything and tip that ball, tip the pass that Caden BUZZER was trying to throw down the court to really ice the game so that BRAYLON could have picked it up and passed half court or pass it AK back to Mullins for the shot. I think you got to applaud Silas, not getting down on yourself after missing that front end and being able to just gut it out and pull yourself together to make a play when you really, really needed to. And a lot of credit goes to Silas there. I think, at least I hope this next week for him to rest and get that leg as close to 100% as possible is going to really, really help, because Silas is going to be so pivotal in this matchup against Illinois. Just having someone who's going to hopefully have that explosiveness back to take guys off the dribble. I don't think Illinois is as athletic as some of the teams that UConn's has had to play the last couple rounds now. And I think Silas can exploit that. Kylan Boswell is a great defender. Keen Waller's made strides defensively. Andrei Stojakovic has made strides defensively. But obviously, Silas getting back as close to 100% as possible. I mean, that's going to be one of the big talking points going forward. But now let's talk about AK, because AK, quite honestly, might have played his worst half of college basketball in this first half against Duke. I mean, I think you have to chalk it up to just him exerting so much of his energy on trying to defend Cam Boozer. And I think that definitely played a role in why he was such a poor shooter on Sunday night. He went 2 for 10 overall, finished with 5 points, 1 for 6 from 3. But just for him to, make the plays where he's diving into UConn's bench to save the ball, which ultimately led to what I believe was a terrace layup or finish around the basket. And for him to nail that 3, to cut it to a 1-point game, such a huge spot after not seeing a single jump shot go down the entire game, that was incredible. And I think, AK defended quite well given the circumstance. I mean, he's completely outmatched from a size angle against Cam Boozer. And just, again, for him to exert that much energy and still be able to knock down that shot in such a big moment was just incredible. And obviously, just for him to have the belief and the confidence to pass up taking the last shot, to give Braylon Mullins, who's obviously coming off some momentum following the pass, he's going to be in rhythm to be able to let it fly. It's just incredible the belief he has in his teammates. And man, it was such a special moment seeing AK in tears hugging Dan Hurley following the game, and Hurley telling him to stop crying because got to win 2 more for them to take it home to STORRS to bring back number 7. Still, what a special moment, what a special play from AK. Give it up to your freshman when you're a senior, you're possibly playing in your last collegiate game ever, and just giving it up to the freshman to let it fly. And man, Braylon just we'll get back to Braylon in a second here. Solo ball is still very evidently struggling with some confidence stuff. I felt a lot of the threes he took were forces and just not great looks. He did miss, I believe, 1 3 really early in the game that just looked, I mean, it's so good. And then it, hits off the back rim and you're just like, man, Solo just can't buy a bucket right now. But hopefully we'll see it get going, because I still believe that Solo needs to have a big Final Four for UConn to have a legit chance to win this national championship this year. He did have some really, really big plays at several points of the game, being bigger than anything else he did. And one in transition on Cam Boozer to cut the lead to 3 and converting on the free throw opportunity to make it a true 3-point play. That was huge momentum swing and play. And man, when you see Solo, who was on the bench for the final moments of this game, he's turning to the crowd, trying to hype them up so UConn can get a stop, celebrating his teammates. For a guy who's struggled and went through as much as he has above the shoulders this year, to see him still celebrate his teammates, to cheer them on, to try to get the UConn fans into it. He's just a great teammate. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask of Solo from an off-court perspective. Obviously, we need to see some shots go down, and he's still, I believe, a pivotal factor as to whether UConn can win the Natty this year or not. But I think that's something that shouldn't go unnoticed, and I have to give Solo his flowers there for, of course, just continuously cheering on his teammates, celebrating other people's successes, and keeping his energy high, keeping the team morale and spirits high, even when he is struggling himself. I think that's something that's invaluable and something you need in college basketball if you're trying to put together a championship level team. But I mean, let's get to Braylon now, because one of the major themes of this game, and quite honestly, one of the major themes of the season, is that the shooters have not been able to make shots. UConn started 1 for 18 from beyond the arc in this game going into halftime, and they made 4 of their last 5, each one of those threes just being humongous shots at their respective points in the game. I mean, Silas with 2 threes in each corner, Caravan with the 1 3 coming off the screen to make it a 1-point game. Obviously, Cam came down and made a layup to cut it back to 3. And then Braylon just the shot from Narnia or Yucatan, as Anthony Edwards said in that one clip. I mean, just incredible. Just thinking about that shot. When it went in, I couldn't even process it. I just said no, and the shot went in. I mean, that is one of the great moments that I'll look back on in my time watching college basketball and think very fondly on. I mean, that is one of the all-time shots in the history of the NCAA tournament. I think probably the 3rd or 4th best ever. I still would say Chris Jenkins on 2016 Nova to win the Natties still and probably will always be number 1. I think you have to throw Leitner up there in 92. I think you have to throw Luke May against Kentucky into that conversation, Jalen Suggs with Gonzaga. But there's Mario Chalmers. I kind of forgot off the top of my head in the national championship game with Kansas. But Braylon Mullins, man, he's cemented himself as a March legend for that shot. And for someone who was 0 for 4 before that shot, and to shoot it from the logo, from 35, maybe 40 feet out and nail it, I mean, no rim at all, just straight through the net. That's incredible. Seeing the elation, the joy from the players, Dan Hurley, who really very nearly avoided a tech. I mean, I'm quite honestly not sure how a tech wasn't called on Hurley after him going face to face with the official. And, I think Hurley lucked out there. But nonetheless, I mean, just seeing just the amount of videos. I mean, nothing was harder than going to bed last night because I could not just stop rewatching that shot, seeing all the reactions put online, following Braylon making that three. It's just, I mean, again, these are the things you'll never forget watching college basketball. And for someone who grew up watching a ton of it, this is up there for one of the best games I've ever watched, and two, just, I mean, one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in the NCAA tournament. And this is something that a lot of Husky fans, including myself, will remember for a very, very long time. Now, to talk more about the actual comeback itself, no one seed had ever lost after being up 15 going into halftime. And UConn is the first team to do that. They face a 19-point deficit early in the first half, 15-point deficit going to halftime, like I just mentioned. For them to just really not break. I mean, there's the one saying, records break when you don't. And I mean, that's what we saw here. UConn being the first team to ever take down a one seed with a 15-point halftime lead. And just them, I mean, it comes back to what I was saying on last week's episode, just with, yeah, the Big East was not good this year. But I mean, instantly, I thought back to the Providence game. Providence was terrible, terrible. And UConn found a way to battle back in that game, facing a 13-point deficit. And obviously, this stage, the scale of this game against Duke is on a completely different level. But still, I mean, those were the games that Big East played that UConn got challenged and obviously didn't perform as well as a lot of people, including myself, wanted them to. But for them to just continuously find new ways to win all of those games where they were challenged, where UConn was everyone's Super Bowl when it came to town, it's just, it prepared them for moments like this. And I said on last week's episode, no team left in the tournament field has been tested in close games as much as this year's UConn team. And they've proven it back-to-back games now. One where they blew a lead and had to close the game out, and another one where they faced a large deficit and had to crawl back and ultimately come away with a buzzer-beating win. And it's just incredible. I'm still, again, like at a complete loss for words. I mean, it's just, again, I'll never forget this game for the rest of my life. This is, I really got to do some deep thinking here, and, I'll let some more time pass so I'm not, a victim of recency bias, but it's probably a top 3 game I've ever watched in my time watching college basketball. But really just incredible. I didn't know if a Final Four was going to be possible going into Selection Sunday, but hey, I think the draw favored UConn to be able to get to the second weekend. And once you get to a second weekend, anything can happen. And if you're going to face a 19-point deficit, better to face in the first half than late in the second. And UConn was able to do it. They were able to get this win, take out the Duke Blue Devils, who I think I speak for most people around the country that when I say I cannot stand them, I hate them, and send home the National Player of the Year, send home all those future NBA draft picks. It's awesome. I love it. This is why I love March. This is why I love college basketball and think it is the greatest sport on the planet. And man, hey, once you get to a Final Four, you got to only win 2 more games and anything can happen, as we saw in this game here today. I think that's going to take care of everything that I had, recapping my reactions to this UConn win, or I should say massive UConn win against the Duke Blue Devils, sending them home the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, and getting to Indianapolis for the 3rd Final Four in 4 years for the Huskies under Dan Hurley. I obviously didn't talk too much from the Duke perspective on this podcast. That'll be coming on the, next episode of the Court Storm College Hoops Talk podcast, which I do with Josh, because I definitely have a lot to say regarding that. And I also, of course, did not really touch on my previews for the Illinois game in the Final Four on Saturday night. That will probably be coming later in the week. I just felt that this game against Duke last night was deserving of having its own video, just how big of a win this was for this Huskies team this year and this Huskies program. But until that Illinois preview comes out, I would expect later in this week, probably Wednesday, Thursday. I'll see you all next time.